Face the unknown and ponder the question. What if?
What's going on, all you wild super soldiers? It's your favorite rascals back here. I'm Captain. That's Tennille over there. Wait, what's your name?
Captain Henry Hill.
Oh, easy there, sport. We're back tonight talking about the brand new series that just debuted on Disney Plus. If you guys have been following along with our YouTube channel, social media outlets, you know me and this guy have been talking a lot of Disney Plus. Never thought we'd be here having a Disney streaming service with basically everything that we love from childhood up into adult years. This time around, we have a what if scenario with the new Marvel show, meaning what if our favorite characters are in a new kind of context in the multiverse, different roles and things like that, without giving too much away. But a what if scenario, they announced this a few years back. Kevin Feige was talking about it, the like animated show they're going to be premiering on Disney Plus, and we're finally getting a taste of that. The first episode, really interesting. Really a good take on the first Captain America movie, Steve Rogers being that scrawny kid, Peggy Carter, and the rest of the rascals that show up in this episode. So, watching this, the first episode, didn't know what to expect. I had a really great time with it, the 30 minutes, diving into some familiar territory with the Captain America movie, and then shedding some light on Peggy Carter, seeing her in a whole different light in this episode of her being the super soldier instead of taking the back seat to Steve Rogers.
Yeah, what if is definitely a nice little segue into this multiverse that we're getting into here in the Marvel universe. It started with WandaVision, and then we got really intense into the multiverse with Loki. So this is the perfect show to kind of transition into the multiverse, and it's animated, like you mentioned. The first episode, what if Captain Carter were the first Avenger? And it's a nice little twist on what happened in the first Avengers movie. We saw, Captain America, the first Avenger. That was that and Iron Man were the first couple movies from Marvel in the phase one leading up into, obviously to where it ended with Endgame and everything. And this is part of phase four. So we're going to get these episodes, I think 10 in the first season. And I want to say they already greenlit the second season, but we're getting 10 here, and it starts out with the first Avenger. And this is a nice little, twist on what happened with Captain America this time. Captain Carter, it's Captain Carter. She's the one that takes the serum. She comes out of the tank.
Yeah,
slow, ready to kick ass. And yeah, I had a good time with this episode too. And it has a unique animation style that reminded me a lot of like the covers of the Grand Theft Auto series. It's that kind of animation that takes the 3D objects and puts them into the 2D, but they still look with the 3D. It's actually called cell shading animation. There's been some shows in the past that use this. There was a Spider-Man, the new animated series that used this kind of animation before.
That's right. I was thinking
only it only had one season, so we didn't get to use a lot of it. Another movie it reminded me of was that I think it was a Scanner Darkly, that kind of animation where they made the real people look more animated. So it's a new style animation. It took me a couple minutes to get acquainted to it, but once I was, it worked out very well for me. Everything looked really cool, and they were able to do things on screen. Obviously they didn't have to spend as much money on a big budget since this wasn't live action, but we get to see a lot of cool stuff in this animation style.
Yeah, it reminded me much of Scanner Darkly. I remember when that came out, Keanu Reeves. I think Winona Ryder was in it, but yeah, the same realm of animation. It looked really cool. It reminded me much of Spider-Man. Really kind of pops out at you, and it has like the vibrant colors and has a 2D effect to it, but I guess more the way I look at it pops out of the screen more. But I thought they did a really good job, the animation team, making these characters. I mean, they look like the actors, I thought, for the most part. Peggy Carter looked, similar to the actress that played her, and Steve Rogers looks a lot like him. And seeing Bucky Barnes show up and voiced by Sebastian Stan returning. But yeah, they'll look great. And really interesting take on the first episode, having to do with the Tesseract that we're familiar with. We've talked about in the past. The Red Skull showing up. A lot of the same characters from Captain America, the first Avenger, but with the twist of Peggy Carter being the super soldier and being huge And it really sets up a lot of great set pieces in this, a lot of great action, really great intense scene on the train with this big explosion. You're thinking this one character's dead, but find out they show up at the end. But a lot of action. I like how Peggy Carter had, instead of the Captain America, Captain of the UK, Great Britain, attire on with the shield. I thought that was really cool. Just had a lot of fun with this episode, seeing these characters and kind of getting a vibe of what they're going for with the show.
It was very interesting. I liked her costume too, with the Great Britain flag on it and then the shield. And she was kicking a lot of ass in this. It was very cool, very awesome action scenes. The train scene, like you mentioned, where they're all on top of the train. And, obviously something blows up and the train's falling off the track. They'll have to get off. And, a character that we know, obviously Steve. It's a twist because Howard Stark is, involved in, the super soldier program. And in this, he actually makes Steve Rogers a kind of, prototype Iron Man suit, which is cool to see on the screen. They call it the Hydra Buster in this one when he comes in. So it was cool to see that. But yeah, just a lot of good action. And, I liked seeing her as Captain America. It was believable. Obviously it's animation and everything. But it was really well done. I like the voice cast. They got most people back that were from the movies and shows. They didn't get Chris Evans. I guess his contract's over. He didn't re-sign or anything. But the actor that plays his voice did a good job sounding pretty much just like him, I thought. And then with Red Skull, who we see in here as obviously the villain, it was played by Hugo Weaving in the movie. This one's Ross Marquand, who is in The Walking Dead. And I thought he did a good job. Sounded very similar to the movie character too. It was nice to see Nick Fury show up. We see some Avengers in the end there. We see old Jeremy Renner pop up at the end, and you can obviously tell it's his voice. Sounds just like him. So yeah, overall the episode's really cool. It's a cool take on what would happen, if it was Captain Carter instead of Captain America. There's some differences obviously in what happens than what would happen with Captain America, and the way she deals with things and the way she worked together with Steve was very interesting. So overall, I had a really fun time with the episode. About 30 minutes long. Nice little, easy watch, easy to follow. I'll be following it for the rest of the Wednesdays for sure.
Yeah, we'll definitely be back talking pretty much the entire season like we have been with all the Marvel shows, having a great time with this. Disney Plus putting out some great content, and I had a great time with the first episode. What if you cue that Creed music video?
Scott Stapp, baby, come on! What if?
First episode having to do with Captain America and seeing Peggy Carter taking the role of this, character that we love from all the movies. Our favorite characters being in some sort of different context, the multiverse, the what if scenario, being in somebody else's shoes. And I love how they did that. There was a lot of comedy in this too. I like Peggy Carter's character. She's always kind of busting the guy's balls. There's that one German soldier. She's like, they punched him. He went up against the jail cell.
He's like, "What do you think you're gonna do, Fraulein?" And she just busts his ass up. That was a funny scene. Yeah, and the German guys and even the guys working for the U.S., they don't believe in her because obviously at the time back then they didn't let females be soldiers or anything. They kind of relegated them to doing work back at home while the men were on the front lines. But this is a nice little take on that. And of course, the men were always degrading her, like, "Oh, geez, we can't have a woman doing this." And
what's a woman doing in this room?
Yeah, they always had that kind of old train of thought there, and she put all that to rest. And when she went into action, showed them they were wrong. So that was cool to see too.
Yeah, was that one Colonel, whatever he was that Bradley Whitford?
Bradley Whitford, yeah.
I knew it. He has that douchey voice.
Eric from Billy Madison.
Hey, Eric. Yeah, every time I hear it, I know it's Bradley Whitford. And I'm like, that's totally him, that little fucking weasel.
Yeah,
he was such a good bad guy. Eric. Yeah, he's always such a good bad guy. He did a great job with that character. He played himself. It sounded like just a douchey person that is degrading to women and stuff like that. But it was funny how Peggy Carter talked shit back to him towards the end of the episode. So it was kind of interesting. But yeah, a lot of great characters here. A lot of similarities, obviously, to the first Captain America movie, but with their own twist, a what if situation, somebody else taking the shoes of Captain America and taking over and see what happens to that, having to do with the Tesseract. And Hydra and all the bad guys, including the Red Skull. So really good introduction episode, kind of what they're going for in this. I'm really excited to see all the other characters and stories they do with this season. So I'm definitely invested on board and had a great time with the first episode of What If. With that being said, I will give the first episode a 4 out of 5 Steve Rogers hair pieces.
What if?
The live
Can't get that damn
performance
song
by
out of my head.
Scott Stapp.
I had a great time with the show as well. It'll be interesting moving forward, seeing all the characters from the Marvel movies that we got to see in the last phase and see all the differences and all the, you know, how they change them up, how they change their stories. You know, somebody else going to be Iron Man. The possibilities are really endless. And this is a nice little segue into the multiverse of madness, which we'll be seeing in live action coming up too. Jeffrey Wright plays the thinker in this. He's sort of your narrator at the beginning. He has an eye on the multiverse. He can see all these different possibilities and scenarios, and he has a really good voice as a narrator. It's cool. And he comes in at the end again too, by the end of the episode, to wrap things up. I had a great time. I am going to give What If Captain Carter were the first Avenger a 3.5 out of 5 Captain Carter hair pieces.
So that being said, we have more videos coming up right here on our YouTube channel. We have the Cinephellas podcast, episode 120. I'm going to be dropping that either tonight or tomorrow. We also have more videos. Me and this guy over here talking to Mr. Corman, episodes 1 and 2. We got an interview with David Howard Thornton, the guy that plays Art the Clown in the Terrifier movies. We have Niall Fortner did an interview with that actor, so that will be up on our YouTube channel. Nice. And a bunch of other great content coming very soon right here on our YouTube channel, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and our website, cinephellas.com or angelfire.cinephellas.com.
Yeah, not GeoCities. Make sure to go to Angel Fire. That'll take you to some random porn site, probably.
Yeah. So that's it for this review of What If. Your two favorite super soldiers are signing out here with our good mate Scott Stapp. Until the next What If review. Cheers,
boys. What if you laugh?